here and just enjoy being out in the quiet, in the greenery. It's deeply entrenched in this whole community, the history of this pond. The whole reason why this pond is here is because of the dam. And the stone dam, which is right behind us, was built in the 1820s. And it was built basically to provide water to power the grist mill, which was here. But you can see the dam from the road, and the water powered the mill. For all the farmers in the area, they would bring their corn, some wheat, to be ground at the mill. So it was a huge economic focal point of this entire community. The pond itself was closed down for many years. There was the history, the family that owned the pond, it goes all the way back to when the mill was operating. 1820s was when the dam was built, and it ran from the 1820s. The mill ran from then until I believe the 1950s. And after the mill was shut down, the family in like the 50s and 60s, they had a boat rental business out here, and they would have rent boats to people to come out and fish. And then there was a huge hurricane that destroyed most of the mill, and the mill was in really bad disrepair, and the family decided to tear it down because it was going to be way too expensive to fix it, and it was a danger to people. And they weren't running the boat, it messed up the boat rental business as well. And so they fenced off the whole area, and it was basically closed through the 80s, 90s up until today. But there are people who come out here who remember coming out here and renting these old-timey wooden boats with their grandfather or their grandmother and coming out here and going fishing on the pond. There's another gentleman who has a picture of his dad catching a 3-pound chain pickerel on this pond. So there's definitely fish to be had. So it's really cool that it's back open again to the public. So we opened up in October of last year, and so we haven't even been open a year yet. And the response has been huge. This was a significant natural area. It's been known for decades because it is the northernmost and westernmost example of a cypress gum swamp. And that is a pretty unique ecosystem. It's typical in the coastal plain, like Robertson Millpond, you'll see it all over the place. But here in Wake County, this is really unique. We even have Spanish moss. There's Spanish moss in the preserve. I mean, it's not like what you would see in Charleston or down at the coast of North Carolina, but it's here, which is really unique. So you don't have to drive 2 hours to the coast to see something like this. It's only like, 30 minutes from downtown Raleigh? This pond is on Buffalo Creek, and Buffalo Creek is a slow-moving blackwater creek. And what that means is the water is like tea. It's not cloudy, it's actually really clear. You can see to the bottom of the pond if you look and the sun hits it. It's very clear, but it's very dark. It's like it's stained like tea or coffee. And the reason why it's stained like that is from the tannins of the cypress trees. So the predominant canopy of this swamp are cypress trees. And the needles, it's a deciduous tree. It looks evergreen, but the needles fall off every fall, and those cause a chemistry in the soil and in the water to make the water black water. We are hoping to build a boardwalk through the swamp so that people who don't have a boat can access the swamp on foot. We are hoping we can get more land so we can expand as well, have another access point perhaps for the paddling trail that people can get in on. Once you get in here, I mean, if you don't have these buoys to look at, everything looks the same. And you can get really turned around easily. The buoy system is actually really worked out really well. And they're numbered so that you always know, you can always see one buoy from the next one, and you can see the number, and so you can always know, okay, if I'm going up, I'm going away from the preserve, I'm going back. Oh my gosh, that's a prothonotary warbler. It's really close to us. Yes, right up there. Do you see that yellow bird? That is an amazing bird. You'll only find them in areas like this, wet areas like swamps and stuff like that. They're so cool. So this is a nest box for prothonotary warbler. And Dr. Eugene Hester, who is a local in Wendell, he put these nest boxes up, and he put most of the wood duck boxes up on this pond as well. And so he put these prothonotary warbler boxes out because he noticed that they were here and they like to nest in cavities. And he tried several different ones. He tried a wooden box, which worked fine, but the chickadees really liked that as well, and the titmice, which is fine too. And he also tried a PVC pipe one. And I don't know if you can see this, or can guess what this is, but this was his favorite and the prothonotary warbler's favorite nest box. And it's a reused Metamucil container. And he just cut a hole in it and some drain holes in the bottom. It's really easy to check and clean out for researchers and for staff, which can, to clean it out for the birds. We ask that the public don't disturb them, but he put a bunch of these out, and we're planning, park staff, to put even more out. They're called prothonotary warblers because prothonotaries in the Catholic religion wore the golden robes. You hear about the cardinals wear the red robes, the prothonotaries wear the gold robes, and prothonotary warblers are gold. I mean, they are yellow, golden, beautiful birds. And people who come to the pond are amazed at how close they get. When you're in a boat, there's something about being in a boat that isn't as threatening, I think, maybe to the birds, because they'll just come right down if you're quiet and land on a tree really close to you, and you can get a really good look at them even without binoculars. You can bring your own boat. You don't have to rent from Paddle Creek, although Paddle Creek is here on Saturdays, and it's best to check their website. They rent through their website, and they have all the hours and everything on there.
So at the Robertson Millpond, we've only been out here since about May is really when we got set up and started getting lots of business out here. People are really enjoying how different it is from actually paddling out on a lake or a river. It almost feels like a swamp, but you really just get a nice feel paddling out there because you're shaded for the most part, and then also the wildlife is out there. And especially since it's a relatively new area, it's kind of secluded for the most part. There's not always a ton of people out there. Sometimes you feel like, am I even in North Carolina right now? You feel like you're in some Louisiana swamp or something like that. And we've had several people tell us who live in Wendell that this is amazing, that it's right around the corner from them.
If you bring your own boat, we have an area that you can unload. We have an ADA accessible launching dock, and we also have a grassy launch area that you can launch your boat. You have to wear a life vest while you're on the pond. It is deceptively deep. You think because you see the trees that it's really shallow, but the average depth of this water is over your head. It is 8 feet. Yeah, people who love nature, who just love to get away from it all, are going to really enjoy this space. And I hope we can also, inform people about the cultural heritage. The first phase of this project was to basically get the parking lot in and get people access to the space. And hopefully in our second phase, we're going to do a boardwalk. So if people don't have a boat, they can walk through the swamp to actually experience it. And they can see some displays about the cultural and historical, the past basically of the area, the history. Just enjoy the peace. I think that's the biggest thing.